Good morning. Ooh. Good morning, everybody. It's an early one for us. Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon and good evening. Welcome to the Pascal Show. It looks like there was no music. You guys can't hear that? You guys couldn't hear that? Man. Well, that sucks. That sucks. Hold on. You guys can't hear that? I'm playing it again. Hold on. Is this a new thing? Do you hear the music now? Yeah. Very interesting. Okay. All right. Well, still trying to figure that out. I woke up very early this morning to figure some things out with this new rig and all that. But I want to ask you guys this, though. Can you hear this? Hold on. Man, this is so annoying. But can you hear? Come on. This.
Crimes punishable by more than 1 year imprisonment.
Now, can you hear this? Hit the number 1 to make sure you guys can hear this.
By the court, you may be examined or cross-examined on any relevant issue.
So you can hear that.
Understand?
I do, yes, sir.
Interesting.
If you decide not to testify, I will instruct the jurors that they cannot give the fact that you did not testify any consideration whatsoever.
Well, just so you guys know, we're going to be watching. We don't know if this is actually happening or not yet. There's rumors out on Twitter, and I don't know how much we can trust Twitter. Okay, but there's rumors out here that Twitter on Twitter saying that this man right here, Alex Murdaugh, is supposed to be taking the stand. I think he really does want to take the stand. I think he really is going to take the stand. That's the reason why I'm on here right now. Obviously, his lawyers stepped up to make sure they wanted to see if the prosecution couldn't attack him for other things outside of this trial, which are the multiple other counts that he's looking at for financial, all the other things that other laws that he's broken that aren't in this trial, right? This is an M trial, and he is coming to testify on that behalf. So it sounded to me, when I was listening to this before we got started, the judge basically was like, they can ask whatever they want. Like, if they want to ask those questions, they can ask those questions. That's what I got from this. Okay. So, because I was kind of listening in and out of this whole thing, but, of course we want to hear what's going on here. So anyway, guys, I know that it's not going to be a huge thing. But nonetheless, if you guys can do me that solid, hit that like button down below. All right. Actually, let me see something. Can you hear this? Can you hear the other song right now? Definitely let me know if you guys can hear the other song. So you can hear this now. Okay. Interesting. Now I'm getting it. I figured it out. So you know what? Okay. I figured this out now. Dag nabbit. So we're going to do this right then. We're going to get this morning show started right before they get started on their side of this craziness, okay? And again, it all depends on if they this all depends on if he takes the stand. If he doesn't, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? But if he does take the stand, we're gonna sit and we're gonna watch as much as we can, okay? Just to be fair. But without further ado, let's get you guys started off right.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there, enjoying your day, making it positive and amazing, as it rightfully should be for you guys. Obviously, we are on the watch for this particular trial that's going on here with Alex Murdaugh. Okay, and this is some pretty interesting stuff right now. As you guys can see right here, okay? This is not him, okay? And you guys can hear the music, right? You guys can hear this music and everything, right? I want to make sure y'all can hear this music, okay? I'm figuring it all out. Thank you. Okay, cool. Like I said, the thing is a very weird thing. But anyway, we're going to be taking a look at this. Hopefully this won't be a very long one with this particular individual. We're going to find out who this is, but we're in the middle of finding out Alex Murdaugh's side of the story. So this is going to be very, very interesting. So do me a favor. And I know, this is not, I know that this is a lot of people are doing watch parties on other channels as well. And I hopped on specifically only to watch Alex Murdaugh's piece. But we're here to check it out, okay? Hopefully it happens sometime soon. If it doesn't, I might have to do a part 2 where we watch it again a little bit later. Hopefully he goes today. So hit that like button down below for me. That would really, really mean a lot, all right? And of course, do not forget to crush that subscribe button. You know your boy's working hard out here in these streets to give you the conversation and the stories that you need for the day. All right. So without further ado, let's get into this. I have no idea who this is. We're going to find out right now. All right. All right. Now I figured it out. Okay.
Either in his hand or in his pocket, but if he had something in his hand, he would, set it down either in the truck or somewhere close to him. I mean, it would be within reaching distance.
Okay. What was your impression from the time you spent with the family as to how they got along?
I mean, they all had a really good relationship, I felt like. I mean, when I was around, there was always kind of laughing and, a good relationship, good family relationship.
Did you have a nickname for Alex?
Big Red.
Okay. And how would you describe the relationship between Paul and Alex?
They had a really good relationship.
Would you say that Alex was patient with Paul?
He was.
Now, you mentioned that you guys hunted together. Are you familiar with the types of guns that Paul had?
I was.
Okay. And did he ever use a 300 Blackout?
He did.
Okay. And what's your understanding of where he got that?
Buster and Paul got 2 for Christmas one year. One, Buster had a black one, Paul had a tan one, and they were at Moselle, and then Paul's went missing or, got stolen, whatever happened to it. And then there was just a black one at Moselle that we used more or less.
Okay. When you were at Moselle, what did you do with Paul?
Rode around, played around at the house, messed around at the sheds. We would go ride the buggies, ride in the truck, go fish, go hunt, go farm.
When you rode around at Moselle, what vehicles would you ride in?
It really depended, honestly, what was closest to get into from the house. It was, sometimes my truck, sometimes Paul's truck, sometimes golf cart, Ranger, whatever we felt like riding.
Okay. Did you ever ride in the black Ford F-150?
I did.
Okay. And are you familiar with where the kennels are located?
Yes.
At Moselle? Okay. And if you and Paul were at the house, would you guys typically walk to the kennels, or would you drive down there?
We would never walk. We would drive or ride something.
Okay. And were there ever times where you noticed Paul with guns in his trucks on Moselle?
All the time.
Did he have the 300 blackout with him in the trucks?
A lot of times, yes.
Okay. And were there ever guns left in the shed by the dog kennels?
They were sometimes, not a whole lot, but there were, sometimes left there and then picked up later.
Okay. What about the hangar?
Same.
Of course, Miss Estrada.
Now, Maggie. Tell me about Maggie.
She was she's a very sweet woman. She would, do whatever. She treated me like I was one of her own. She was just really, really sweet woman.
And would she go down to the dog kennels?
She would.
Okay. And how would she get there?
It just depended really. She would drive her car sometimes. She would walk sometimes. She would ride her bicycle. She would ride a Ranger, a golf cart. However she felt like getting down there.
Okay. Let's go to the day of June 7th.
Okay.
Walk me through that day.
That morning I got up and I talked to Paul either over the weekend or Friday or one of those days when we had talked about CB had sprayed the sunflowers. And so I'd gone out to Moselle that morning and rode by the sunflowers to see if they were actually dead yet or not. And I noticed that they were dead. So then, Paul and I talked, around 10 or 11 that morning and about kind of coming up with a plan about how to get them plowed up under and replanted. So then I went to work and stayed at work all day pretty much. We were supposed to go out that afternoon and start plowing the sunflowers under. And I got stuck at work late and talked to Paul throughout the day, and I wasn't going to make it that night. And so I went home after work. And then I got the call around 10:30 or so, 11, sometime around there, and came back to Moselle and everything had happened.
When you talked to Paul that morning, what, if any, understanding did you have as to where he was?
He was in Okatee. He was working for John Marvin at the time.
Okay, and then you guys made plans to meet at Moselle that
That's
afternoon.
right, yes.
Okay. When you called him on the way home, what, if any, understanding did you have as to where he was?
When I talked to him on the way home, he was driving from Okatee to Moselle when I spoke to him.
Where were you when you got the news about Maggie and Paul?
I was at home.
Okay. And did you go to Moselle?
I did.
Okay. Did you see Alex?
I did.
How would you describe him?
He was pretty distraught. He was, when I got there, he and I saw each other and we both kind of walked towards each other, and he gave me a hug and just started crying and told me they were gone.
That maybe I'll have begged the court to tolerate.
Yeah, he really does want to testify. Mr. Stroud is right. He really does want to testify. So we're going to be seeing that at some point today or tomorrow.
Right.
Was that plan to address the issue you had seen in the with sunflowers?
That's right.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
I state.
Nolan, good morning. How are you?
Good. How about you?
Doing well. Nolan, we've met a bunch of times, right?
Yes.
Prior to trial, we've met.
We're bros,
We've
right?
met elsewhere. We've had quite a few conversations. That fair to
Ran
say?
around,
Yeah.
picked up girls, you know.
And you've had a lot of conversations with law enforcement also. They were sometimes there at the meetings.
Yes.
You were as close a friend as Paul as there could be. Is that fair to say?
I feel like that. Yes.
And I just want you to say again, he was the kind of guy that if you needed something in the middle of the night, you could call him.
Yes.
Was he going to be there for
He
you?
was going to come.
Flat tire side of the road, Paul's there for you.
He was there.
You also, I think, and Maggie, I think you referred to her as a second mom to
I
you.
did.
Kind of, they adopted you into the family. You were treated like one of the group. Is that fair to say?
That's right.
And what year did you graduate high school?
2014.
And what year was Paul at Wade Hampton?
He didn't go to Wade Hampton.
Oh, what year was he graduating high school? Sorry.
I want to say 17, maybe 17 or 18.
So you were a little older than Paul.
That's right. He was the same age as my younger brother, Nate.
And your younger brother, I know we already heard, we saw, it's Nathan too,
That's
right?
right, yes.
And he testified
Morning.
previously in this trial.
That's right.
Good morning.
So your years in high school would actually align with
Buster's.
more Buster's, and Paul was a little younger.
That's right.
I think you mentioned that Paul was an avid cell phone user. Is that fair to say?
That's fair.
He used it all the time.
Yep.
Which may be part of the reason why he was so responsive when you needed something, because he always was there to answer the call or respond to a text. Is that
That's
fair
right.
to say?
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself someone that has a fair amount of knowledge about firearms?
I feel like it. Yes,
Are you an avid hunter?
I am.
And you've had a lot of experience with firearms yourself,
I have.
and a lot of experience with the family's firearms.
Yes, sir.
Gain kind of a knowledge of what people tend to use or favor.
Yes, sir.
And is it fair to say that? Well, first, before we go there, let's talk about the 300 blackout. Paul's 300 blackout. I think you just testified to that they received as a Christmas gift.
Right.
Now, Buster's, when they received it, Buster's 300 blackout was what color?
It was black.
And Paul's 300 blackout was what color?
It was like a sand color.
And you,
They're gonna make a meal out of
hanging
his
out with Paul, and
ass.
I'm going to talk about somewhere in like 2017, 2018. Did
Watch,
you go to
Jazzy.
a Halloween party with Paul?
It's gonna be
We
insane.
did.
Did you actually ride with him?
From my recollection, yes.
And it wasn't uncommon for Paul to have his kind of favorite guns in the car with him. Is that fair to say?
That's fair.
And on this occasion, when you went to this party, did Paul have that 300, his tan 300 blackout with him?
He did.
This is back in like 2017, 2018,
It was a while ago. Yes, sir.
before COVID.
That's right.
The new designation, before
That's right.
COVID, after COVID. And tell us what happened. What happened that night?
I mean, we were at a Halloween party and we had been around Moselle most of the day, and we left, and then later on the gun was gone. The gun was missing. Whether whatever happened to it, we no longer had it.
So it was there before you went to the party, and then y'all come back and it's out of the car.
That's right.
Now this was a really nice rifle, right?
It was.
It was a fairly expensive rifle, and the scope on it is a very expensive scope.
That's right.
So it wasn't like it was misplaced. It was. Do you believe it was stolen?
I believe so. Yes.
All right. And then going to guns, did Paul have a shotgun that he favored?
He did.
Was it and have you paid attention to any of the trial?
I've watched some. Yes.
And is it
He did.
without going ahead and run through the guns? Is it that camo in color Benelli Super Flag Eagle 3 that the state has in evidence?
That's right.
That's Paul's shotgun.
That was the one he favored the most. Yes.
And then did Paul also have a 300 blackout on him at all times?
He did.
So
Most
what
times.
did Paul do after his rifle was stolen? What did he use then?
When his rifle was stolen, he more or less took Buster's as his own. So
He started using Buster's. Is that because Buster really didn't use that very much?
Buster was in school, either in Wofford or in Columbia. So Buster came to Moselle a fair amount, but Paul was there more. And so Paul just, used it as his own.
And then Buster had a shotgun he'd favor. I think we'd already heard about it, but is it a Benelli Super Flag Eagle Model 2?
That's right.
And do you know the differences between the Super Flag Eagle models?
I do.
And I think your brother already testified to that, but there's markings on the shotguns that you can look at and tell if you know what you're looking for.
That's right.
And then I believe Alex favored a Super Black Eagle Model 1.
That's right. He
So-
either shot the 1 or the 2.
So we have 1, 2, and 3 models
Right.
for the same Benelli Super Black Eagle, but models 1, 2, and 3.
That's right.
And those are all 12 gauges typically that was used
That's
as
right.
a kind of general use.
That's right. That's right. Matthew
I
McConaughey.
think you also mentioned that about guns being left down at the kennel area. You said it was occasional. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
They weren't stored down there, right?
That's right.
Permanently. Nothing was stored down there.
No, nothing was stored down there.
And it was usually, if guns were left, would it be mostly in just the hunting seasons?
That's right.
Okay.
It would either be during, the hunting seasons or, if Paul was cleaning out his truck, he would.
And when are the hunting seasons for like deer and duck, and turkey? When are those hunting seasons?
Deer season is typically in the fall, sometime August to January. Duck season is, around Thanksgiving to the end of January. And turkey season is March 22nd to May 1st, somewhere around there.
Were you, and you spent a lot of time at Moselle. I think you already talked about that. Were you around before the, how many entrances and exits are there at Moselle, the
There are
property?
2.
Were you around before when there was only one entrance and
was.
exit? So when there was only one entrance and exit, the main entrance and exit, where was that one?
That was by the kennels.
And is that actually where the mailbox is?
That's right.
And I think packages are sent that way.
They would typically go to the shed, to the hangar.
And then at some point in the future, a second exit was created where some brickwork was done, sort of leading from the house.
That's right.
Is that accurate as well?
That is.
Is that right?
You all spent a lot of time at the kennel area, kind of the hangar kennel area.
We did.
It's kind of a good collection point for whatever y'all were doing, whether it was working on the heavy equipment there or hunting and getting ready for things.
That's correct.
a fair thing to say? It's a good collection point
Yes, sir.
for y'all. And I think out there's also a processing shed for if
There
you
is.
killed anything.
Yes, sir.
And
That's right.
if you all are
Changing the
down
script.
there and say Maggie or Alex were at the house and they obviously knew you were down there, would they tend to come drop by before they would leave just to see if y'all needed anything?
More often than not, yeah.
All right.
Are we going to get to Alec? Is it Alec or Alex?
And no,
I'm hearing
Paul,
so
as
many
well
different
as you
ways.
Do is it? And we've heard a lot about him. Is it fair to say that he had a lifestyle that was just fairly unpredictable?
Absolutely.
I mean, he was traveling the state, whether it was Columbia, Charleston, the Low Country, wherever. He was everywhere, right?
That's correct.
And he actually kept clothes in many different places just for that reason, because he was such a traveler.
He did.
So you talk to him almost every day, right?
That's right.
But for those that maybe weren't so close to him, it would be fairly hard to even know where he was going to be on any given day,
That's right.
unless you kept in frequent contact with him, right?
That's fair to say.
He was everywhere. Any given day during the week, who knows where he could be.
Mhm.
Fair
Yes,
to
sir.
say?
That's so crazy.
All right, so I'm going to talk to you about June 7th, 2021. And that's the day you lost your best friend.
That's right.
And that's a tough day for you, is that right?
It is.
You talked to Paul that day on the phone
I did.
in the morning and afternoon times. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And
That's
I know
right.
you just testified to it, but walk me through again, if you wouldn't mind. I believe y'all were talking about the sunflowers. They died.
We were.
And you often helped out on the farm. Is that also fair to say?
I did. Yes.
Meaning farm related stuff, tilling the ground and planting seeds and all that stuff.
That's right.
You're pretty active in the maintaining of the duck ponds and the corn fields for the hunting purposes too, right?
That's right.
So if Paul needed something, he'd call on you.
That's right.
He'd call on you to help out.
Yes.
And is that what happened on leading up to and on June 7th?
Yes, it was. He knew that I was riding by because typically when you spray something, it takes a couple days before it actually takes effect. So it happened. CB sprayed them, I want to say Thursday or Friday. So we really couldn't get a good idea of what was actually done, the harm that was actually done, until a few days later. And I was going to be riding by Moselle that morning to go to work. So I just swung in there to check on them and see what it was, where we could come up with a game plan on what to do.
And you have pretty free use of the property, meaning you could show up and come and go as you please. That wasn't weird, right?
That's right.
So the fact that you went there that morning to check on stuff, that's actually pretty normal
That's right.
for you. And
That's
so
right.
you show up on that morning and check the sunflowers, and they're dying. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So the decision was made that y'all would have to. And why do you need sunflowers? What's the purpose of those?
They attract doves. We plant them, kind of corn, sunflowers in the dove field, to have dove hunts.
So it's important for hunting purposes, it's important to maintain a dove field. You call it the dove field.
That's
or
right.
the sunflower field.
Yeah, it's a good attractant.
So the decision made then to till the field and replant the sunflowers.
That's correct.
It wasn't too late in the year, in the season. You could still get some good growth out
That's
of it.
right.
And this is something you're pretty familiar with, and you've done a number of times before with Paul.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what do you relay to Paul then?
I talked to Paul, told him that they were in fact dying and we had to restart. So he and I had talked about coming up with a game plan, meeting up that afternoon at Moselle to go ahead and get the tractor hooked up and begin plowing them under.
And ultimately, you weren't able to make it that day. Is that
That's
true?
correct.
Okay. What did you have going on?
I got hung up at work around the Columbia area.
So the plan then became we're just gonna do it later,
That's
right?
right.
We'll do it sometime later in the week.
Yes.
Now, leading up to these events, you received a Snapchat from Paul around 7 p.m. Is that right?
Sometime around there. Yes.
Sometime in the evening time.
That's right.
And tell us what that Snapchat's like a video image that someone can send you.
That's correct. Yes.
And tell us about what that Snapchat was.
It was a video of the John Deere Highboy sprayer. One of the cylinders on the back to spread the boom to spray was leaking pretty bad. So he was sending me a video to show me how bad it was leaking.
That's about right.
And a tiller is a piece of farm equipment. Is that correct?
What is it?
Sorry.
Repeat your question.
You said a tiller? Is that
The Highboy?
Highboy. Is that a piece of farm equipment?
It is.
And is that the thing you would use then to plow the fields?
That's what we would use to spray.
Spray. Sorry. Thank you. Okay. And it was leaking some sort of fluid, meaning it was maybe broken.
That's right.
All right. Now you've in all the times we've met, the number of times, did you have a chance to listen to what we call it, kind of the kennel video?
I did.
And did you when listening to it, did you identify the voices on that video?
I did.
Having known the family, what voices did you hear on that video when you
Paul
heard
and
it?
Miss Maggie in it, Mr. Elliott.
All right, down at the kennel area too. If you're down there at nighttime, I assume you've been down there around the nighttime, the hangar kennel area. It's actually fairly well lit area if the lights are all turned on. Is that
That's
true?
correct.
So not only is there the hangar lights inside the hangar, but then there's lights on the outside of the hangar as well.
That's right.
Is that true?
Yes.
And is it true then also that the kennels have lights, both fan lights and overhead lights?
That's correct.
So if you're down there in the middle of the night, even though there may not be any, street lighting or anything like that, the kennel area and the hangar are all brightly lit with like fluorescent lighting.
Yes, sir.
And would you be able to see the lighting if you were at the Moselle house? Would you be able to look down if it's nighttime? Would you be able to look down and see the well lit area?
You could, yes.
Yeah, people do hunt doves apparently.
All right, so we're on June 7th. What's the last communication you have with Paul?
That phone call.
And
Phone
you
call
go to
and
bed.
the Snapchat.
Sorry, go ahead.
The phone call and the Snapchat.
And you then go to bed that night thinking it's just any other night. Is that right?
That's correct.
And I think you testified to it, but you were woken up at what time?
It was around 10:30, between 10:30 and 11. My mom had called me, and she had heard something had happened at Moselle. So I tried to call Paul and text Paul and didn't get a response. So I got in the truck and rode over there as fast as I could.
And at the time, were you living fairly close by?
I was living closer to Alameda. It was probably a 20 to 25 minute drive to Moselle.
When you arrived at the scene, what entrance did you go to initially?
Initially, I was coming down Moselle Road, and I noticed all the first responders over towards the kennel area. And so I pulled in there, and they wouldn't let me in. So then I backed up and came in through the brick columns and made my way around.
And when you arrived, what did you observe?
Oh, when I got there, there were a lot of first responders out, and I could see two bodies laying, one by the corner of the shed and one by the feed room door, and they had sheets over them.
And by the time you arrived, law enforcement had already cordoned off the area.
They had,
But you could, where the tractor equipment was housed, you could kind of stand around back there.
that's correct.
And even though it's set further back, you could still see sort of the scene.
Yes.
Who was there with you when you arrived?
When I arrived, it was myself, Alec, Randy, Ronnie Crosby, Mark Ball, and I think that's it at the time. People started coming when I got there. A lot of people started coming, showing up.
And I know you testified to it, and it's obviously understandable, but everyone's pretty upset, right?
Yes.
And when you did you have a chance then to interact with Alex?
I did.
And is he here today?
He is.
Is he sitting at council table right there in between his lawyers?
Yes.
And I think you said you hugged. Is that right?
We did.
And what thing did he repeat to you twice?
The boat wreck. The boat wreck. The boat wreck.
That's the thing he said to you.
That's right.
And
Blah.
did he also ask you to get in touch with Rogan?
He did.
And you know Rogan Gibson.
I do.
Friends with him as well.
Yes, sir.
So the two things he says to you there is two of the things he says is the boat wreck. I think he said the effing boat wreck. Is that right?
He did.
And get in touch with Rogan.
Yeah, it was a little while later, but yes, he asked me to call Rogan.
Okay. Beg the court's indulgence.
Thank you.
Redirect.
Okay. Time for redirection. All right. Let's see what happens here.
You mentioned that Paul would clean his cars out down by the kennel area,
Right.
his trucks. Are you aware that he took his truck in to be serviced
I
that
was.
Friday?
Yes.
Okay. And he cleaned that out before he went?
Yes.
And if you're at the house in Moselle,
Mhm.
can you see in detail at night what's happening at the kennels?
You could just see the lights and you could tell that the lights were on, and you could see the roof, but that's really about all you
So
could
just
see.
the roof and just the lights?
That's right. You
Okay.
could you noticed something was down there, but you weren't really able to tell exactly what it was.
Okay. And going back to June 7th, you went out there in the morning
Halfway there,
for
guys.
the Dove field.
That's right.
Okay. And did you see the black Ford F-50 up at the house?
I did.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
Blammo.
Nothing else, Your Honor.
So
Thank
maybe
you. You may
the
sit
moment we've
down.
all been waiting for, quite possibly. And they should have had a drink. We should have done a drinking game every single time he said that's right. And yes, sir. I think is what
Ladies and
the other
gentlemen,
one.
we have you go to the jury room for a short break. Please do not discuss the case.
The hell? Well, now we're almost there, y'all. Now we're almost there. Why a break? Why a break? You know what I mean? Like that, a break for what reason, baby? For whatever reason.
Everyone be seated.
Yeah, here we go.
Harpooling, do you need any additional time to confer with Mr. Murdaugh?
He indicates he doesn't need to talk to me. It hurts my feelings, but we don't need any break. However, Your Honor, he does need to visit the restroom before we start this process.
All right, we'll take a recess about 10 minutes.
10-minute recess. Okay. 10 minutes, y'all. 10 minutes. All right. And the clock is ticking. Oh, this is going to be very interesting, guys. This is going to be interesting. Let's keep it real. Why does he need to go to the bathroom? I think it's a nervous piss. That's what I think. I think it's a nervous pee. Like he needs to go and just get that little 2 like drops, squeeze those last 2 drops that are just irritating him right now because he's so nervous. I guarantee you he is nervous right now. But to me, this whole thing is this whole trial has been very interesting. Obviously, there's been a lot of things pointing at him guilty. Okay. But at the same time, and hey, members, you guys can use those emojis starting right about now. Okay. And of course, please be sure to hit that join button down below. All right. Oh yeah, of course. Let's not forget Stevie. Thank you so much, Stevie. All right. Hit that like button on this stream. Of course, it helps to get it out there. But also, most importantly, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, okay? And also hit that notification bell, y'all, so that whenever I'm going live, because I know sometimes there's been a weird glitch. There has been management's been changing over here in these YouTube streets. If you haven't been savvy about that, there has been some changes recently, so there might be some glitches and some things going on within the tubes, if you get what I'm saying. So just make sure that you turn the notification bell off and turn it back on. It's that simple, okay? I think that would be the easiest way of getting it done. And it, of course, like I said, helps so that whenever I'm live. Because I've been hearing some people getting unsubscribed, and I've been hearing people getting, like I said, just not getting the notifications like they should be. Okay, so that'd be greatly appreciated. It looks like he's going to be taking the stand, y'all, right after this break, and that will be in like 8 minutes or so. And I don't know. I guess the burning question is how y'all feel about that. You know what I mean? Do you think this is a smart move on his behalf, or are you not thinking it's smart at all? Hold on. Okay, this muted it again, and I'm going to mute that too. So I'm going to put a poll up. That's the reason why I went opening up these windows and stuff, so I can get this poll going on. And hit that like button. I'd love for it to get past 200 likes. That would really, really mean a lot. All right. But and here's the thing. People are saying it's Alec and not Alex. But then why is it spelled Alex but people are saying Alec. It doesn't make sense. Then on top of it, they say Murdaugh and not Murdaugh, when it clearly spells that way. I don't understand why they do that, unless they just don't want his name to sound like the M word. You get what I'm saying? But I digress. Okay. Murdaugh. Alec. Murdaugh. I don't know. It seems weird. Let me finish this poll. Okay. So I just got it up here. It's at the top. The poll's at the top of the chat right now. Okay. Excuse me. And I just asked, is it a good move for Alec at this time? Is this a good move for Alec at this time of the trial? Yes, I think so. No, it's a dumb move. Okay. Definitely vote away. Love to hear your thoughts on that. For sure. Because this is, to me, I think it's a crazy move. And we just talked about it last night, but yes, this is in my personal opinion, this is a crazy move. But then also, all right. But then also, this is a really egotistical thing. We talked about it last night. At first, I was like, I don't think it's egotistical. And then I said, wait a second. As I was thinking about it, I go, wait, nope. I agree. This is hella egotistical. Like, he really thinks that he's going to go out here and get away with M by taking the stand. That by him going up on the stand and explaining his side of the stories of everything, for the most part, that he thinks he's going to pass this with flying colors. All right. Like, I wonder if he's got, like, he's in the, in the bathroom or wherever he is. And, he's got that theme song going, like, you know what I'm saying? That theme song that gets you ready for that fight, that theme song that gets you ready for whatever you need to do. And in this particular situation, obviously he's kind of in the, people are thinking that he did something. All right. We all believe he did something. Right. So what if he's just in the, in the bathroom or in the whatever room he's in, one of those offices or waiting rooms that he's in, and he's sitting there just like, I don't know. Murder was the case that they gave me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ever think about that? Just being real. Think about it. Murder was the case that they gave me. Some Snoop. Just bring in some Snoop on this. You know what I'm saying? But no. He probably like a Billy Joel type. He probably is a Billy Joel type. That song Innocent Man or something like that. Isn't that song the song called Innocent Man? I'm an innocent man. You know what I'm saying? He probably doing that one. He ain't doing Snoop that's like throwing out gang signs and crip walking. You know what I'm saying? But think about it. He's got some theme song, okay? When somebody just said something. Hold on. Somebody said, where is it? Where is it? Jess Show just said his theme song is it's Ja Rule's Murdaugh. Oh my Lord. Yep, see. Just saying. For a fact he got some. Oh, that's another one. Good one right there. Yes. Sandwich. Please don't let me be misunderstood. That's a good one too. That's a great one. Okay. Just saying. All right. Murder was the case that they gave, mate. I'm just saying, like, that would be hilarious. He's just thinking, I'm a straight thug. I'm innocent. The real Queen T. Thank you so much for the 5. He pronounced it like Murdaugh when he identified himself. See, that's what I'm saying. So it's Murdaugh, but everyone's sitting there Murdaugh. Okay, everyone's sitting there going Murdaugh, and I don't know why. It's driving me absolutely up the wall. And then if it's Alex, it's spelled with an X. Alex. Okay. Why? Okay. Why is it Alec? That's the, like, of all the things, of all the strange and wild things that have happened, that's all the people that have lost their lives and all the craziness that has surrounded this particular story. Just to add more sprinkles and a cherry on top, let's just make the name very hard to pronounce, that, or make everybody in this world pronounce it the wrong way. My name is not easy to pronounce. Alex's name is extremely easy to pronounce. Okay? Like, there should be no reason people are saying his name wrong. And I'm hearing it 2 different ways. Well, not 2 different ways, but you know what I'm saying. Some people say Alec Murdaugh. Some people say Alex Murdaugh. Some people say Alex Murdaugh, Alec Murdaugh. I mean, it's ridiculous. Okay. Yes, listening to T.I.'s 25. See what I'm saying? Like, yeah, come on. So it just doesn't make sense. Okay. Like, as uniquely odd and strange this whole story is, and this whole case is, they just got to add more ridiculousness to it. Like, just his name is exactly how it looks. Why does it have to be all this difficult stuff? I'm seeing reporters say his name 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, 17 different ways. All right. And then I see YouTubers say it completely different ways as well. I'm like, I don't know, man. All right. Fat Baby Toodles just said, then you got old Nancy Grace with the Murdaugh. Yeah. All right. So it's too confusing. So I'm just going to, I say Murdaugh because of code words and stuff. You can't say, you know, the machine, the bots that fly around get these things confused, and they make you think that you're saying something else, if you get what I'm saying. So I'm just saying Murdaugh. Okay. Oh, Stacy with the snap with the 1-2s. You can't mispronounce lies though. Yeah, that's true, Stacy. I'm sorry. I don't mean it. But that was good. You can't mispronounce lies though. Thank you. You just made my day. That part 1,000,000 times over, Stacy. Facts on top of facts on top of facts. That's a good one. Thank you, Stacy. Yes. She just dropped the bomb right there. Blow. All right. But yeah, so I hope they get this thing started very, very soon. They should be, you know. They should be, though, very, very soon. But yes, there's a lot of things that they can be asking him. From my understanding, from what the judge said, the judge was basically nothing's wrong with them asking anything about this. So about anything, everything from his man, actually, let me pull that stuff up here. Let me pull that up. Oops. these other charges that he was looking at as well. Hold on. There it be. As we wait, I could just list these things off to you guys real quick. We're going to look at it as a family real quick. Excuse me, guys. I am still waking up. You know what I mean? I jumped on here to give you guys this information or to watch this live. But here are some of the other things that he's facing. And of course, his team is trying to defend and stop these kind of questions from popping up, because all those other allegations that he has, 100 or so other allegations that he's facing right now, they could make him look worse. They could make him look even more, okay? More criminal, right? More guilty than maybe the defense wants the jury to see him as, right? But some of these, which is he's looking at 100 or so allegations, okay? Including stealing from clients, money laundering, tax evasion, and insurance fraud. Not to mention right? And they were sitting there going, can you make sure that we don't talk about that at all? About those other things? That'd be great. Nope, that's absolute BS. All right. He said the judge was like, nothing's off the table. And it's still muted, guys. So they have not started to rock and roll as of yet. But if they, he might be dropping a deuce. He might have been dropping a deuce. That was more than 10 minutes, baby. You know?
You may bring the jury.
Dropping that deuce. Unbelievable. Okay. Alicia Lynette, thank you so much for the 5. He about to get sprayed with his own tea. LOL. Yeah, Alicia, you ain't wrong. All right, he's in a heap of trouble, and I think that's why he had to, squeeze a few drops of urine out. You know what I mean? Like, it's that nervous pee. He's like, man, I gotta get this out of my system. Yes, I need to finesse these people, but apparently he was. Did you hear before we get things moving? You heard from the judge. The judge said, "Hey, do you need a break? Do you need to have counsel with your client?" And he said, "I'm a little offended. He doesn't want to have anything. He's good. He doesn't want to talk to me about anything. And I'm a little offended, but whatever. He just needs to use the bathroom. He just needs to take a pee." That's pretty damn cocky. Okay, I'm going to be real. That is really cocky, y'all. You don't need to talk to your counsel at all. You don't need to talk to your people to make sure that you're going through the thing correctly. That's cocky. All right. Real quick, Stevie, thanks so much for the 5. And also, thank you for the super chats, guys. I really do appreciate it. Pascal stays ready to live stream. Only 7:30 a.m. here in California. Thank you for all you give and share with us. Hey, Stevie, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Okay. But yeah, I'm wondering what the heck is going on here. This is some wild stuff, but yes, I will be, of course, if there's super chats that come in during the questioning right here during his testimony, I will try to read them during dead times, some space in the show or during his testimony. But obviously, all ears and all eyes are going to be watching every single last thing that this man does. Every little time he scratches his nose, his eye twitches, anytime he adjusts himself in his chair, shifts weight, whatever it is, we are all going to be watching this with a fine-tooth comb, because now he is literally going to be taking the stand, and he is literally fighting for his own life right now. Not only just his his team now. Now everything is up to him now. It has all come up to this. Okay. Somebody just said he should get charged with capital murder. I'm done, guys. But yes, get ready because this is going to be wild. And this is the moment I think a lot of it, shoot me, that I've been waiting for. I was waiting for something crazy like this to happen. Another moment, right? Where they take the stand and they speak on their behalf. Everything. I don't mean to sound dramatic, but this is real talk. Everything comes down to this testimony. This testimony could destroy him, or this could exonerate him. So let's get going. Come on. Oh, you got it muted again? Come on, man. I just set it up right for y'all. Like, y'all could have done it right then. Damn. That was perfect. But okay. And Sandwich said, the AH trial was fun watching with you, Pascal. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a whole lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to just poke holes. It's just unfortunate that I can't do 8 hours every single day type of thing. Even today, I'm not going to be able to do straight 8 hours like that. I just can't. I got other things to do. Okay. But still, we're going to watch this and we're going to poke holes. Okay. Holes, not the gardening. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I'm very much for this. I am here for this all the live long day. Let me see what the poll looks like so far. I'm very much for this. I agree. I agree with myself. So far, 79% of you guys, we only have 175 votes, so keep voting. But 79% of y'all say, no, this is a dumb move. And watch, he might go up there and just blow everybody's mind. Watch. He might put on the waterworks and just do so. You know what I'm saying? He just might blow all of our minds. And you know what? Watch yourselves. Okay? No, and I'm not trying to be mystical. All right? I'm not saying watch yourself. I'm saying just watch yourself as you watch him. See if your emotions change. See if what he says sways you. If you catch yourself feeling for the guy, I'm just being real. Now I can say the mystical. Watch yourself, okay? Watch yourself, because he could literally manipulate. That's exactly what he did in those body cam videos that were out there. If you're leaning on the side of him guilty, right? If you're leaning on that side of things, remember those videos that you saw. Body cams, the one where he breaks down in the car, all that stuff. And you're catching yourself catching feelings? Oh, I'm just saying, that's a master manipulator. And he a lawyer too, baby. All right? So he knows his way around these questions, man. Okay, that sounded like James Brown. Here's up, talk about. See what I'm saying? He's right there too, James Brown. Shout out to James Brown, R.I.P. Are we ready to do this or what? Come on, Judge. Let's get it.
You will not be able to sit. You cannot sit there. You cannot sit in the jury box.
Who's trying to sit in the damn jury box? Bruh. Why? Murder was the case that they gave me.
You may call your next witness.
There we go. The moment we've all been waiting for.
Honor.
Let's go.
The defendant, Richard Alexander Murdaugh, wishes to take the stand.
Murdaugh likes to take the stand. This is a moment in history. Get ready. Get ready. I'm not lying. This will make or break him.
Raise your right. You swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go.
You'll have a seat on the witness stand.
He is going to be having the this is going to be the testimony of his life.
I'm Alec Murdaugh, Murdaugh.
He says Alec.
Good morning.
Murdaugh. He does say it. Get it. Yeah, Tyler. Get it, Tyler. Get it. Come on. Come on, prosecution. Get him. Yes, and like the stream, Stevie. Thank you so much, Stevie.
Mr. Murdaugh,
Like the stream.
on June 7th, 2021, did you take this gun or any gun like it?
Wow,
and
straight to the
shoot
point.
your son Paul in the chest in the feed room at your property off Moselle Road?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take this gun or any gun like it and blow your son's brains out on June 7th or any day or any time?
Dang, he went straight. Wow.
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh,
Wow, he went straight for the what? He said what?
300 blackout, such as this, and fired into your wife Maggie's leg, torso, or any part of her body.
No, I did not.
Did you shoot a 300 blackout into her head, causing her death?
Mr. Griffin, I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime. Ever.
Straight into the jury's faces, too. Not even at his own team. He's looking right at the jury. Another thing that AH did, by the way, too.
Mr. Murdaugh, is that you on the kennel video at 8:44 p.m. on June 7th, the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
It is.
Were you, in fact, at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
Did you lie to SLED Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th and told them that you stayed at the house after dinner?
I did lie to them.
Did you lie to Agent Owen and
There we
Agent
go.
Croft on the follow-up interview on June 10th that the last time you saw Maggie and Paul was at dinner?
I did lie to them.
And in the interview of August 11th, did you tell Agent Owen and Agent Croft, did you lie to them by telling them that you were not down at the kennels on that night?
Yes.
Alec, why did you lie to Agent Owen, Agent Croft, and Deputy Rutland about the last time you saw Maggie and Paul?
As my addiction evolved over time,
Oh, no.
I would get in these situations or circumstances where I would get paranoid thinking. It could be anything that triggered it. It might be a look somebody gave me. It might be a reaction somebody had to something I did. It might be a policeman following me in a car. That night, June 7th, after finding Mags and Paul, don't talk to anybody without Danny with you. All my partners were just repeatedly telling me that. I had a deputy sheriff taking gunshot test from my hands. I'm sitting in a police car with David Owen asking me about my relationship with my wife and my son. And all those things coupled together after finding them, coupled with my distrust for SLED, caused me to have paranoid thoughts. Normally, when these paranoid thoughts would hit me, I could take a deep breath real quick, and just think about it, reason my way through it, and just get past it really quickly. On June the 7th.
Is he chewing gum?
I wasn't thinking clearly.
So you were high
I don't think I was capable of reason.
because you were high, allegedly.
And I lied about being down there.
Dear Lord.
And I'm
Stop.
so sorry that I did.
He psychoanalyzed his own self.
I'm sorry to my son Buster.
Yeah, he needs water. He needs
I'm sorry to
H2O.
Grandma and Papa T. I'm sorry to both of our families. Most of all, I'm sorry to Mags and Pawpaw.
Scripted.
I would never intentionally do anything to hurt either one of them.
Tears. You sure about that, bro?
Ever.
You sure?
Ever.
Did you continue lying after that night? Did you not?
But once I lied, I continued to lie. Yes, sir.
Why?
Bang. Well, at least he's saying he's lying.
You know, oh, what a tangled web we weave. But once I told the lie, then I told my family I had to keep lying.
How's the jury going to look at that and be like, oh, yeah, he didn't do it? You lied. So you could be lying about a bunch of other things, my brother. And then now you're trying to say it's because of your
Alex, tell the
addictions?
jury
Come on.
What happened on the evening of June
Whack.
7th, starting when you met with Paul?
I'd been at work that day, a fairly normal day.
Jesus.
You mean start in the morning or?
Sure, start in the morning.
It was just a regular morning. Maggie was leaving to go out of town. She was going to a doctor's appointment, and she had some stuff to do at Edista, where she was having some work done on our house at Edista. But Maggie was there that morning. She went to leave, and she told me she was doing these things. I always asked Maggie to come back home and stay with me. But anyway, Maggie had left. She did her thing. I went to work, did work. I learned from Paul that.
Who's Paul?
That's Paul, my son Paul, Murdaugh.
And your name for him was Paul.
Yeah, we called him Paul.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And Buster, Maggie, I called him Paul or Paul Terry. But Mags called him Paul, Buster called him Paul. A lot of people called him Paul. But anyway, I learned about I had known that CB, the guy that worked for us, had sprayed the sunflowers. I knew about that, but I'd been out of town. I didn't know they were dead. Paul let me know they had died. So we had to replant the dove field. That's our dove field, which the dove field is just a big social part of having property. People come, and it's just a social big part of it. So the dove field was a big deal. So when the sunflowers got killed, we knew they were dead. Paul was coming home. And I learned that early Monday morning.
And and we'll catch back up, but at some point in time, did you meet up with Paul?
Yeah. After work, I met Paul at the property.
And we're going to backfill and talk about more of the day, but I just want to focus in on that evening right now.
Okay.
When Paul gets to the property, what do y'all do?
First thing we do is we go to the dove field, and we look at the dove field. And
how'd you get to the dove field?
He had come in my brother's truck. We got in my son Buster's black pickup truck. We called it Buster's truck, or the black pickup truck. You've heard it called too, but I call it Buster's truck.
Okay, so you're in Buster's truck and you go to the Dove field. Tell the jury what else.
Well, that's the first thing we do. We go to the Dove field and we look, and it was clearly, it didn't, you could tell they were, I mean, you could tell they'd been sprayed and you could tell they were dead. I mean, they might have still had a tiny bit of life, but they were dead. So we knew that. So we knew we had to replant the whole field. So that didn't take but a second. But after that, Paw, we just rode the property. We spent time together. We rode around and we spent time together on the property.
Did you go to the duck pond?
Oh yeah, we went to several food plots. We went to Single Oak Stand, we called it, which is across the road. I know we went to the Bridge Stand. We went to the duck pond where we stayed for a minute. And
Did you,
I can remember the duck pond specifically because I had helped Paw plant the Dove field and the corn in the Dove field. So sunflowers, corn. And I had helped him plant the corn in the Dove field. Paw had planted the duck pond by himself, and he's making a really big deal to me about how much better the corn was doing in the duck pond than it was in the Dove field. We stayed there for a little while. We were at the cabin for a little while. We rode around the cabin looking at it.
no, cabin is what?
That's it's just a little small, it's truly a cabin. It's a 4-room structure. It's got a little living area, a little kitchen. It's got 2 little bedrooms and 1 little bathroom. And that's what you've heard talk about where the kids stayed some summers. And
Is that what the jury has seen? Some overhead pictures? It's right there on Moselle Road?
yeah, it's right up on Moselle Road, and it's very close to the driveway that goes to the shop and the kennels.
Did you spend any time at the shop, you think?
Oh, yes. I mean, the shop was, that was sort of the hub. That was the main place. If you weren't at the house, you might be out going to this field or this food plot or this duck pond or this part of the river, but the shop is where the kennels were located. That was, you were always there. Something was always going on there. You're always doing something there. That's where all the tools were. That's where all the equipment was kept. That was the main hub.
Right.
And so we were there that day. There was a point in time where we unloaded a bulldozer that had been on a different part of the property. It was on a trailer. We unloaded it and sprayed it down real quick. That was just one of the many things we did that day.
One of the things the jury's seen, Alec, is a Snapchat video of you and doing something with a tree. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And so what was happening there?
That's just part of when we were riding. That particular location where that was is at a food plot that we called Sawtooth Oaks, and it was named that because there were some sawtooth oaks that were planted there that you can't see in the picture. But what that tree is, at all these food plots, there's an area where it's not as big as a field, but it's like a field where you plant vegetation for wildlife. Like it might be cowpeas or soybeans, but you plant, and then there's a feeder to attract deer. Then we planted these little fruit trees on these stands. And what you see me doing is fooling with a fruit tree that I'd been tending to. It had fallen over. I had straps on it. I had strings on it that were holding it up. One of the strings popped. I undid the other string, and it was falling over, and Pawpaw was laughing at me, trying to get it back upright. And it was just a fruit tree that I'd been dealing with for years. And it wouldn't stand up straight.
And were you and Paul having a good time at that point?
You could not be around Paul. You could not be around him and not have a good time.
Were you close to Paul?
You couldn't be any closer than Paul and I and Buster and I were and are. He's just wonderful. Wonderful.
And it's one of the things you enjoyed doing together was just riding the property?
I love doing anything with Paul. It's an absolute delight. But yeah, one of the things, I mean, Paul's passion. I mean, Paul was passionate about a lot of things, but that property was really a passion of his. I mean, he loved to work it. He loved to work with fields. He loved to work with food plots. He loved to hunt. I mean, he'd work on the roads. I mean, he would work on all of it. I mean, he would work on the structure. I mean, he worked on the whole property. It was his passion.
So on the evening of the 7th, I mean, that jury's been inundated with data from various different sources, but
Sure.
just ballpark, can you, I mean, knowing, what we know now after reviewing everything, but roughly when do you remember Paul getting there and you getting there, starting to ride the property?
Now that I've had the benefit of seeing all of these records, Paul got home, I believe, a little bit before 7:00, and I got home a little bit before him. I think the details have been that I got home around 6:42 or 6:45 or something like that, and Paul got there, very quickly thereafter,
And then,
by 7:00.
so you rode the property for a while. Do you remember when Maggie arrived?
Yeah, it was later than that. It was 8 or after 8. I think it was after 8 and looking at the records, a little bit after 8.
And do you remember her arriving or where you were when she arrived?
I believe that I was at the shop when she came through, which would not be unusual for her having been away. If Blanca had gotten the mail or somebody had gotten the mail, maybe not. But if somebody had not gotten the mail, it would be perfectly normal for her to pull through there. And I believe she did pull through there that day. And Paul and I were at the shop, I believe.
And then what did you do after Maggie arrived?
Maggie went to the house, and I know that. But shortly after, however, I learned that Maggie got home, I went to the house when Maggie got home, and I left Paul at the shop.
So, and what'd you do when you got to the house?
I saw Mags, talked to Mags, and I took a shower.
The clothes that we saw in that Snapchat video was that the clothes you had at work that day?
Yes, those are the clothes I had on at work that day.
And the jury's seen you in those clothes and what's on June 7th. How tall were you and how much did you weigh?
On June 7th, well, I'm a hair over 6'4", right at 6'4". On June the 7th, I was about 265 pounds, 264, 265.
And this was in June 7th.
Yes, sir.
When you're outside riding around and do you get hot and sweaty?
Absolutely. I mean, Paul and I had done some things. We unloaded the bulldozer, cleaned the bulldozer. We'd fooled around. Yeah, I mean, I sweated. I was heavy, and taking prescription pills also makes you sweat worse, or at least taking oxycodone makes you sweat more than you normally do.
So was it unusual for you to take a shower when you got back to the house?
Not at all.
And after you took a shower, what did you change into?
I changed into the clothes that you've seen in this trial, shorts and the shirt.
When you got out of the shower, and changed clothes, what'd you do next?
I went back out where Mags and Pawpaw were and
What were
for
they
dinner.
doing? What's going on?
Mags had, as you've heard, Blanca had prepared dinner, but it had been cooked earlier. Mags had fixed. I know Mags had fixed mine and her plate because I didn't fix a plate. She may have fixed Pawpaw. Pawpaw was eating, and Pawpaw was almost done eating by the time I got back out, which also wasn't unusual. I mean, Pawpaw was always on the go. I mean, he never sat still. And, you know, he'd sit down to eat, but then he's going on to his next item.
And
So then Maggie and I ate.
and you all eat at the table? Do you eat at the den? What's your normal habit?
We would do both, but I mean, when we ate at the table, it was really sort of more formal or not formal, but just more of an organized thing. Our normal, what we would normally do on a regular evening is we would eat in the den in front of the TV. And that's where we ate that day. I ate on the couch, the table. Maggie had a little, a TV tray that she kept over there, and Pawpaw would usually sit in a recliner and eat off of the ottoman.
Was the TV on?
Yes,
Was that normal for the TV to be on?
yes. TV, if we were in the house, the TV was on.
So what happened next, Alan?
Pawpaw moved on doing whatever he was doing. I don't know if he was in the gun room doing something or he was in his room doing something. He was outside doing something. I actually thought he'd gone to the shed, but in looking at, to the shop, but in looking at the benefit of having these records that we have, I know he was still at the house or somewhere around the house doing something, but he wasn't in there with Maggie and I. But Maggie wanted to go to the kennels, and I had eaten dinner. I laid back on the couch where I was sitting. Maggie wanted to go to the kennels, and she asked me to go, and I didn't go at that time. I didn't want to go.
Why didn't you want to go?
It was hot. I just had a shower. I knew I'd end up doing more work, sweating more, and the dogs is always a chaotic scene, and I just didn't want to go right then.
Well, let me ask you, what had you done the previous days, like Friday and Saturday and Sunday?
Start with Friday or
Yeah.
go backwards?
Yeah, start with Friday.
All right, on that.
Just briefly.
So 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th. So June the 4th, my dad was in the hospital in Savannah, Georgia at Memorial Hospital. And I went down to visit him Friday afternoon, and I stayed with him in the hospital. I spent the night there. You know, he was real sick. I mean, he was having a hard time.
Did you get much sleep Friday night?
No, I mean, I had a real sweet nurse found me. At first, there was just a hard chair in there like this, but a nurse found me a soft chair, sort of like a recliner. So, I mean, I'm sure I slept, but I didn't sleep. You know, I didn't get a night's sleep. No, sir. And
then Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday, we had plans with Buster in Brooklyn. Y'all have heard about Brooklyn. It's Buster's wonderful little girlfriend. And Max and I had plans with them to meet them in Columbia, to go to the South Carolina. It was a regional baseball tournament. And South Carolina was playing Virginia, I believe. So when I got back from Savannah and met up with Mags, at some point we headed to Columbia. So, I mean, there wasn't a lot going on in between there. We headed up to Columbia and met Bus in Brooklyn.
And did you stay in Columbia Saturday night?
We did. We went to the ball game, and I remember it was an evening game. We went pretty early and tailgated. Maggie had reconnected with a college friend who coincidentally had married a college friend of mine. And they had a son that played for Carolina. He was a first baseman, and a really good little player. And we met them and tailgated with them, and it was a lot of fun. They had a lot of the parents of the players that were playing for Carolina, and it was a fun time. We tailgated, and then we went to, and it was a night game, so we went to the game, and the game got over. It was fairly late into the evening, and after that, Bus, Brooklyn, and Mags and I believe we went to the restaurant in the hotel where we were staying, but we went and had dinner, and then Bus and Brooklyn went home, and of course Maggie and I went to our room.
And then get up the next day, and was there another game?
Another game the next day. That's right. And
then after that, you head back to Moselle with Maggie.
yeah, we went to the game. That's right. Mags and I go back to Moselle.
The jury's heard about, I think, Ms. Rass talking about you bringing Krispy Kreme donuts to your dad.
Maggie loved her. She spoiled my dad, and always taking him something. My dad loved sweets, and she and I picked up donuts and took Krispy Kreme donuts to him.
And then y'all both spent the night together at Moselle on Sunday night. Did you both spend the night at Moselle on Sunday night?
Yes.
And then the 7th was a work day?
That's right. It was a Monday, June the 7th.
Hang on. I'll rephrase it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Was Monday the 7th a work day for you?
Yes.
Okay. And I just wanted to give that background. And so moving forward to when you testified previously about Maggie asking you to go to the kennels, were you tired?
Oh, yes, I was tired.
And you had just had a shower?
Just had a shower.
And you said that, well, did you go with Maggie to the kennels immediately?
No, I did not.
What'd you do? What did she leave?
Yes, she did. She left and Paw was gone.
Do you know how she got to the kennel?
At the time, I didn't, but now looking at these condensed records and understanding the timeline, it's clear to me that she rode with Paw.
And did you stay in the house?
Yes.
For how long?
Not long. I laid back on the couch, put my feet up, and like many times when Maggie asked me to do something that I didn't want to do or didn't start out doing, I changed my mind and decided I'm gonna ride up there. And I did.
And how did you get to the kennels?
I went on a golf cart.
Was the golf cart at the house, the main house?
Yeah, it was. And it was there most of the time.
And when you got down to the kennels, what was happening?
It's just what I thought it was. It was a little bit of chaos. I mean, it was clear to me that Max had just let the dogs out. The two dogs that were out were really her pet dogs. One is Grady. You've heard about a black lab. That's Grady. That's Buster's dog. And the other is the yellow lab that you've heard about. That's Bubba. Bubba was mine and Maggie's dog, but it was really mine, Maggie's, Bus, and Pawpaw's dog. It was a family dog. But Bubba's the dog I hunted. I mean, Maggie loved Bubba. She loved Grady too, but I mean, she had a special place for Bubba. But anyway, when the dogs first were let out, the first thing they would do is they would run. If you look at the overhead picture that you've seen, there were planted pines right behind the kennels. So you got the kennels and the chicken coop sort of form an L shape. And in that L was some planted pines. First thing the dogs would do is go out in that kennel, and Bubba and Grady, I think, learned this from Bubba, but Grady would do it too. But Bubba had to mark every tree. I mean, he would go and he'd do a little number on this tree and that tree. You know how dogs do, and it's marking his territory. And so that was the first thing those dogs did when they came out. When I got there, those dogs were in that area. So that's why I believe that it hadn't been long before they'd been let out. Grady was chasing guineas, which was a normal thing to do.
What are guineas?
Guinea fowl is a guinea fowl is like it's like a chicken. It's a domestic bird that we had them. They make a lot of racket. It's like I know this sounds silly, but it's like a guard bird. Because anytime, they just make a lot of racket anytime anything unusual is going on. If anything disturbs them, it could be a person, it could be somebody driving up, whatever, they're going to make a lot of racket. So Grady's chasing the guineas. Paul's fooling with Rogan's dog, Cash. Maggie's just kind of standing there watching the dogs, which is normal. And they were in that place. As the dogs are out longer, they branch out more. But at that point in time, they were right there. So that told me they hadn't been out a long time. Bubba catches a chicken. I'm talking to Maggie for just a short time before Bubba catches a chicken. I take the chicken. Put it when Bubba didn't chase, these dogs didn't chase the chickens to kill them, and they didn't normally kill them. They did kill them sometimes, but it was about the chase with those dogs, and they were proud when they caught one. You could just tell by the way Bubba would prance to you when he brought chicken to you. He was proud that he had caught it, but he wasn't trying to kill it. And so most times the chicken wasn't dead, and that chicken wasn't dead, but a lot of times they would be stunned and they would be just real lethargic. So you had to take the chicken and you had to put it up somewhere where, the chicken could be by itself for a minute and it would eventually, usually, come back to normal and go on about its, whatever chicken does.
Did you get the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
I did. I took the chicken from Bubba and I put it, on top of that.
Now we've seen, this video of Paul with Cash, Rogan's dog. Did you know that was going on? What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I knew Paul was fooling with when I pulled up on the golf cart, Maggie was standing back sort of where the driveway would be. It sort of runs out at the feed room. Storage room is what we call it. It's been called the feed room. But it sort of ran out. Maggie was a little bit further up where she could see back in that angle where the dogs were. Paul was fooling with Rogan's dog back towards the kennel. If I remember when I first got there, Paul was more in the driveway. But then I knew Paul was in the kennel fooling with Cash, yes. But did I know what he was doing? I didn't know exactly what he was doing. No. I knew he was fooling with his tail.
Was Cash in the kennel when you pulled up? You think?
Not when I first got there.
Okay. Did Bubba or Grady have any collars on?
Yes.
Which both dogs? One dog? Do you remember?
I don't know about Grady, but I know Bubba had on his what we call a tracking collar. Paul, for his hunting dogs. Paul had a series of tracking collars, and I think there were 5. It might have been 6, but it's a tracking collar that had a device that would tell you where that collar was, so that Bubba was bad about, he would stay close for a minute, but then he would take off, and he especially do that on Maggie. He would take off and run, and so he had on a tracking collar that if he did that, you could, you could know, okay, he's, a half a mile down here. It's not going to follow him, but so far, but it would follow a good long distance. So you could go get the dog if he ran off, which Bubba frequently would do, especially when it was just Mags and Bubba. And so Paul probably would have been the one to put that on Bubba.
So you've got us where you've gotten the chicken out of Bubba's mouth and put it up on a doghouse or something?
I believe what I put it on, and I don't remember this, but I've seen pictures and all this, and I saw the chicken sitting on top of the what looks to me like a portable dog crate. Wherever it was sitting on there is where I would have put it up there. You know, have any reason to believe anybody else moved that chicken, and it ultimately that chicken did die.
And what did you do after you got the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
I got out of there. I left. I went back to the house.
All right. Well,
Interesting.
Before we do that, we've seen the dog kennel video with Cash and Mr. Davis, and we slowed it down for him. Do you see the water hose in that video on the ground?
I'm done.
You remember seeing that?
Yes, I do.
Was the water hose out?
Obviously, in the video, but I don't specifically remember that, but I can look in that video and see it.
Right.
But that's not something that I noticed.
So, but you've seen it in the video here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the two dogs were out.
Absolutely. Bubba and Grady.
So he just put the chicken out of
You head back. How did you get back to the house?
the dog's mouth and took off.
Same route. I mean, the same route I'd come on. I came down the driveway, made a left on
The chicken.
You saw my route in the car. I drove that same route.
My question obviously wasn't clear enough. What were you in a vehicle? You walked? What mode of transportation did you use to get back to the house?
Yes.
Same way I came. I went back in the golf cart.
Okay.
And it was the golf cart. If you remember that Mark Ball,
He rode all the way.
He saw where we normally would park it. You pull along the front entrance, and either you come in from the left and you'd go just past it and be on the right, or you come in from the right and you'd be just past it on the left. And that's where I got in it, and that's where I put it back.
Did you do anything else before leaving after you took the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
No.
We've heard about Bubba being stubborn. How long did it take you to get chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
Well, Bubba could be stubborn, but Bubba would listen to me. And another thing, when Bubba had on that collar, one of the other features of that collar was
Did Bubba have on the collar, or was it Grady?
Bubba had on the collar.
Bubba had the collar.
I know Bubba had a collar on, and I'm not sure about Grady.
Okay.
But why?
If I misspoke on that,
Why, if
there's no
Bubba
question about it. Bubba
got a
had on the
collar, why does it matter?
I assume Grady did too. But I didn't, even though I saw Grady, I didn't notice for a fact that Grady had on the collar.
Does it
But
matter?
he probably did.
So
Makes sense to me that he did.
how long did it take to get the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
It didn't take long. Number one, Bubba's coming back there to show me, hey, I caught this chicken. So he's not running from me. He's proud of that fact that he caught this chicken. So, I mean, he comes right up to me. Bubba was really strong, but you take your thumb.
Maybe.
When the dog's clenched and his mouth's a little bit open, all you do is you take your thumb and you push his gum in really tight against those sharp teeth, and his mouth opens right up. Took the chicken out and put it on, I believe, the portable dog kennel.
And then left.
Chicken.
Then
Yep.
left. Okay.
Them chickens.
And did you go back to the house?
I went straight back to the house, to the air conditioner.
And what'd you do when you got back to the house?
I lay down on the couch.
And then what? Well, I mean, was TV on when you went back?
Yeah, the TV never got cut off.
So you went back to the house, you laid down on the couch, and then what happened next?
I'm not positive. I dozed off for a minute or didn't doze off for a minute, but I got up off of the couch and I made up my mind I was going to visit my mom.
So you went all the way down there, took a
Had you
chicken out of a
spoken to
dog's
Barbara
mouth,
Nixon
and
earlier
turned
in the
around and
day?
went back
I
home.
did. I
And,
talked to Barbara most days. If I didn't see her, I talked to her.
and what was your understanding of your mother's condition late on the afternoon of the 7th?
She was agitated, which she got agitated when my dad, we were putting my dad in the hospital. I mean, he had a lot over the 18 months, 2 years. I mean, my dad was in the hospital. He was in the hospital a lot. And my mom, I believe my mom knew when my dad wasn't there because, she would get agitated. I mean, that's just the only term you can think of. She'd get agitated. She'd cry a lot. She'd be fussy when she normally wouldn't be fussy. I know Alzheimer's patients are unpredictable, but I'm convinced she knew because it happened frequently. And Barbara Ann told me, your mom's agitated. You need to check on her. I gave her medicine. She's resting. So it wasn't anything urgent, but she's resting. So what Barbara would do, and Barbara could handle her better than, my mama. We all love Barbara. My mama loved Barbara. Barbara could get my mom to do things that nobody else, when she'd fuss for anybody else, including me or my brothers or my sisters, Barbara could get her, in order. And but Barbara had given her medicine and to settle her down and calm her down, and that would sometimes make her go to sleep for a little while, but then she'd be agitated when she woke up.
So did you go check on your mom?
I did.
Where did you park when you got there?
You saw the pictures. There's 2 exits off of that deck. One of them to the right, one of them straight out that back door. I would have parked to the left. If you're coming down these steps, if these are the steps, it would be to the left and back over there.
All right.
Which is where I always parked, or where we always parked anytime you were going in that entrance.
All right, I'll stop there and ask Doug, if you don't mind pulling up State's Exhibit 524, which is the GM OnStar data.
You ain't wrong,
slide
Tisha.
38.
How y'all feeling on this so far? How do you think he's doing? Put a number 5 if you think he's doing a good job. Put a number 6 if you think if this is just a crash and burn,
Can you see
all
this,
filled with cap. All right, all filled with lies.
the slide with those dots,
Yes, sir.
Alec?
I can.
5 if
And
you
the-
think
and
he's
the
doing
red
good.
dots here at the
6 if he's doing bad.
seem to be joined. Where is that in relation to your parents' house?
Where the arrow is?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's back in the area where I'm talking about. All right, so if you look in this picture, all right, you see you see the open area with the green grass? That's the front door. Okay, yeah, right where that circle is. That's the front door. If you look closely at the house, you can see a big dormer right in the middle of the roof. That's right over the front door. The white thing to the left of the house, that's like a parking pad where the driveway ends. And there's a parking pad. So you if you follow the driveway all the way to the house, you're gonna run straight into a carport. All right, by the carport door. Just to the left, before you get to the carport, is this area that you can see here. That's part driveway, mainly parking pad.
All right, I'm gonna, Doug, if you'll pull up Defendant's Exhibit 130, which is in evidence, please, sir.
I will say that I agree
And
with
from this
Old.
photo, can you
He's handling himself
point out
better than
roughly where-
for sure.
where
I
you
will say
normally-
that.
where you parked that evening?
Handling
All right,
himself better.
This is the entrance to the right that I'm talking about. There's an exit and an entrance right in front of that door that you see there. So if you came down those steps, walk to your left, would be down there would be where I parked.
Oh, would you have parked on the grass?
You get on the edge of the grass back there. There's some grass there for sure, but it's not the area up here by the house where it's sodded and
Sure.
this grass that you can really see in this picture. So it may be on the edge of the grass, yes.
In relation to the satellite dish, are you looking at this photo? Are you to the right of that?
Yeah, you'd be to the right of that satellite dish.
Okay.
Yes.
And
I believe
was-
that satellite dish is right on the edge of the, there's a hedge and like you see I don't know what you call it, a border, like a border where the grass ends and the flower bed or whatever it is starts.
right.
I think you can't see it, but I think that satellite's probably close to that border.
All right. Well, let's
So it'd be to the
Let's put
right of
another-
that in this picture.
Doug, will you pull up at Defendant's Exhibit 134?
Y'all wanted to see her. Here's Bianca again.
So
Yeah.
is the door that you're talking about?
That's it.
The stairs are those the ones where you would enter?
Good girl.
Right. These are the steps that I used that night that we always used. And one of the reasons being is my dad, this door goes into what we call the breakfast room. The breakfast room leads right into the kitchen.
I got 4 of them, guys. 4.
So straight through this door, all of the breakfast room is kind of to the left. That door goes straight through another doorway. There's no door there, but it's like just an opening. It goes into the kitchen. Immediately to your right of that entrance into the kitchen is the entrance into where my mom and dad's rooms were. So you went through that door, you were in a little area that had my mom's closet, my dad's closet. A little bit
Here's
further,
another
you go
one.
into my mom's bedroom.
This is
If you went
Romeo.
To the right, you would go, my dad and my mom didn't sleep in the same room
Yeah,
at this
buddy.
point, but the bedrooms were, they were back to back. There was a door going from one to the other that was blocked. That was
Here's
there, and then there was a
Tibby.
bathroom. So this is really the part of the house that at their age was getting used. So that's why you went in this entrance, because my mom and
Go on,
whoever
go
was
on.
caring for her was
Go on.
always in her bedroom, which would be just on the other
So
side.
that's 3 of the
room that
dogs.
Has these windows that you see to the right. All right, those would be the windows for the room where my dad slept.
Right.
And then my mom's right on the other side. The kitchen's right there. This is the part of the house they were always in.
And are you the only one that would pull up in the back like that?
No,
And here's my
Common with your
baby.
brothers and your sisters?
And this is Juliet.
but we all did it. I mean, we all
There she
we
is.
all parked in the same way. If you knew you were going to the front of the house, or if you knew there was a crowd there, or for whatever, you may park on the driveway. But if you knew under normal circumstances, my dad always stayed in the breakfast room where he had a recliner and a TV. That's where my dad always was. My dad never, you would never
buddies.
go catch him sitting in the den up front or in a living.
Now you've
room.
seen all 4.
He just wasn't up there. He was in this room watching TV, or either he was on this back deck. And my mom was either in her room, which was just off of that, or she might be in the kitchen or the breakfast room.
And when you got to the house, who was there? Your mother's house on the night of June 7th.
My mom was there and Shelley Smith was there.
And what did you do when you got there?
The first thing I did was I knocked on the door. The door was locked. I knocked on the door. Shelley.
Thank you,
didn't get it.
Thunder.
And then what'd you do next?
I called.
Called what?
I called my mom's house to let Shelley know I was there. Please come let me in.
And the house phone that's been referred to?
Yes,
Okay, and did she let you in?
sure.
And then what happened next?
I went in and I visited with my mom. I mean, you want me to go into detail on that?
Well, just briefly, yeah, what'd you do?
All right.
I went in the house. In my mom's bedroom, my mom had a bed that was where she slept in normal times. It was like, a bed with, the poles coming out of the corner, a poster bed that coming out of the corners. And she had a bed like that where she slept, but she didn't sleep there anymore. But it was in the room. It was a hospital bed. So when you walked in the room, her bed was to the right.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Against the wall to the left was a hospital bed, like a single bed, but a hospital bed and a TV. And then there was a recliner where whoever was helping her would usually sit. So I went in and I sat down on my mom's hospital bed. And I just talked to her for a minute. My mom was awake and I held her hand. And
What kind of condition was she in?
her condition was not good at any time, but given her overall condition, she seemed to be doing pretty well. I mean, she wasn't agitated like I thought she would be, or like I was worried she would be, or like Barbara had described her at that point. So she wasn't agitated.
This dude prepared.
And, I just talked to her. Anytime we talked to my mom, we always tried to be real positive and, upbeat and I just talked to her. I just talked to her, made sure she was okay.
Did you stay seated on the side of her hospital style bed or did you move around?
I stayed there for a few minutes. I stayed there and I talked to her more than just a few seconds. Right. And then, but I didn't stay there. She did look tired.
Ray, you ain't wrong.
So I got up and
on his own mama.
I think I sat on my mom's bed for a minute to start with, and then I laid down on my mom's bed, which is, that's what I normally did when I went in there. There wasn't like a lot of chairs to sit in, and I just laid back on the bed.
Now, when
talked to Shelly, and we watched TV.
Now, when you're talking about your mom's bed, are you referring to her regular bed?
That's right. Not her hospital bed, not the bed she was in, but her bed, the one I was talking about with like posts.
Right.
Interesting.
Let me skip
That's
something.
interesting.
Was Maggie planning to go over to your mother's with you that night?
No, she wasn't planning to go with me that night.
Okay.
No, in fact, Maggie didn't really like to visit my mom. She loved to visit my dad, and she loved to spend time with my dad. And she spent a lot of time with my mom when my mom was healthy. But, by this point, my mom, she was a shell. She was a shell of her old self. And it was kind of sad to go and visit her anytime. She wasn't healthy. And Maggie didn't like to go and just visit my mom.
When you left Moselle to head to Alameda the evening after you'd gone back to the house at Moselle,
Say that again, Jim?
What exit did you use of the Moselle property when you're going to Alameda on the evening of June 7th?
I went out the main gates, which would be straight ahead. You've heard of the two gates. There's the shop entrance. There's actually several entrances, but the main ones we used, there was an entrance by the Dove Field. There was an entrance further down by Sawtooth Oaks, but the main ones we used were the shop entrance and what we call the main entrance, where the brick gates were.
Did you go Why didn't you go by the kennels on your way out?
There wasn't a reason to go by the kennels at that point, and I was going to Alameda, which the main gate would be the gates that were closer.
Did you notify Maggie in some form that you were leaving to go to see your mom?
I tried to call her.
And did she answer?
No.
And what'd you do after that?
I think I tried to call her again.
And did she answer?
No, she didn't answer. And at some point, I texted her after that.
Well, the fact that she didn't answer on 2 times, did that concern you?
At that time,
Right.
it didn't concern me at all. Number one, she was with Pawpaw. So, no, I mean, number two, I mean, it's not unusual to not be able to get somebody all the time when they're at the house or they're on the property. I mean, you've heard all the testimony about how spotty cell service was. So, no, at the time, it didn't strike me as anything unusual.
Okay. Now, moving back to Alameda, you spent time with your mother, and then you left to head back to Moselle. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you drive straight back to Moselle?
I did.
Now, Alec, there's some information from the telemetry data off your Suburban and perhaps some of this OnStar GPS data that indicates that at some point in time in your mother's driveway, you stopped for about a minute. Do you recall seeing that data?
I did.
What were you doing when you stopped?
I
Do you
was
recall?
getting my phone that my phone had gotten, there was a console in the middle of my car, and my phone had gotten down in the console, between the console and the seat where you couldn't get to it.
Were you, during that minute or however long it was, were you disposing of murder weapons, Alec?
No,
Were you disposing of bloody clothes?
no.
And your ride back to Moselle, was it, were you driving faster than normal?
I was driving however I drive, normal way that I drive.
When you got back to the Moselle property, how did you enter the property? What entrance did you use?
Came right back through the main gate,
And what'd you do then?
went straight to the house.
And when you got to the house, what'd you do?
I went inside.
Were lights on when you pulled up? Or?
Lights were on in the house for sure. I can't remember if there were floodlights on or not. I don't believe there were any floodlights on, but there were definitely lights. All the lights in the house were on, yes.
Oh boy, here we go.
And when you, how long did you stay inside the house, roughly?
Now that I've seen the benefit of these records, I was in there several minutes.
Obviously, I mean, were you surprised that Paul and Maggie had not made it back to the house?
You know, I don't know if surprised is the right word, but I mean, I thought they would have been back by then, you know, but I mean, did it cause me to go into any, it wasn't like I was shocked. But I mean, I thought they would be there. I mean,
My thoughts
I
exactly,
distinctly
Stacy.
remember, you know, I went and looked. Sometimes I was very hot natured. Number one, I was hot, I was heavy, and I was taking pills. So I was always hot. Maggie was always cold. Sometimes she would watch TV we had a TV in the hunting room. You see on the wall there. Sometimes Maggie would be in there watching TV where she could have the thermostat different than we always kept it cold in the main part of the house. So I know I went in there and looked in there for her. It's not unusual for Maggie to be taking a bath and be not able to hear me. So I went back there and I know I did those two things and looked in those two places. And they weren't there. And so, you know, I knew they'd been at the kennels and I assumed they were still up there.
So what'd you do?
I went to the kennels. I may have tried to call them. In fact, I probably did try to call them. I would think I called them. But as I sit here right now, I'm not positive, but I would think I did. Would think I tried to call them to see.
And now, did you drive down to the kennels in your Suburban?
Now he went back down in his Suburban, not the golf cart.
I did.
Okay.
What'd you see?
Saw what y'all have seen pictures of.
You ain't wrong, Shelly.
So bad.
You are not wrong with that, Shelly.
Can I have some water?
I'm not buying it,
Yeah, I went to
but what if it was I don't know. Reliving that still, even though you're trying to hide it, right? That you did it, still remembering doing those things, and maybe you are feeling guilty of those things that could be part of the emotions that he has right now.
Did you see them on the ground
still.
when you're pulling up in your Suburban?
I did.
And what'd you do when you came to a stop, Alec?
I think I jumped out of my car.
It's not
I'm not
exactly adding
sure
up.
what I did, but no, I got out of my car. I know I ran back to my car, called 911. I called 911. I was on the phone with 911, and I was trying to tend to Pawpaw. I was trying to tend to Maggie. And I just went back and forth between them.
Were you going to Paul and Maggie while you were on the phone with the 911 operators?
Yes. Yes.
And in a little bit, I'm going to play the 911 tape, but I just want to ask you, and you've told law enforcement that's been played here in the court, what did you do when you went up to Paul at some point in time?
And Paul. Paul was so bad. At some point, I know I tried to check him for a pulse. I know I tried to turn him over.
When you say you tried to turn him over, why were you trying to turn him over?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I tried to turn him over. Me and my boys laying face down. And he's done the way he's done. His head was the way his head was. I could see his brain laying on the sidewalk. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I tried to turn him over. So I grabbed him by the belt loop and tried to turn him over. And when I did, his phone popped out. His phone popped out. And just picked it up and I put it right back there.
Do you have any idea how it popped out?
I mean, I know it came out of his pocket when I pulled on his belt loop. When I pulled him to turn him over. And it just popped out. And I mean, it popped right beside him. It sat right beside him.
Were you able to turn Paul at all?
I mean, I didn't. I don't know if I was able to. I didn't turn him over. No.
What side of the on what side of Paul were you when you were doing this?
I was on the side that was away from. I was on the side that was away from where my car was.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you do with the phone?
I put it back on Pawpaw.
You know, if you put it,
You put the phone back.
which way it was pointing, upside down, downside, anyway.
Why?
Couldn't tell you anything about it. I know his phone popped out. I picked it up and I put it back on him.
What?
Did you see any messages on Paul's phone?
No.
You didn't open it up, bruh. You sure about that, baby? You sure you don't want to repeat that again?
Did you go to Maggie?
Did.
Did you touch her?
I did.
Where did you touch Maggie?
I think I touched her down just around like, I don't know. If you ask me exactly, I think I touched her down around her waist, but I don't know. It was so bad.
Yeah, he's.
Excuse me.
He's an emotional wreck
No,
for
I went
sure,
Back and forth. I went back and forth between them.
but not because he's innocent. I'm going to
Good.
say it. It's not because
No
he's
idea.
innocent, baby. All right.
I'd like to play Doug, the Colleton County portion of the 911 call, which is in evidence as defendant's exhibit number 9. And Doug, this is the long version, the first clip, and stop it when I say stop it, please.
2021, 22 hours, 7 minutes, 9 seconds.
I'm still here, okay?
County Communication.
And I have an Alex Murdaugh on the line calling from 4147 Mobile Road. He's advising that his wife and child was shot.
Okay, and sir, give me the address again.
It's 4147 Moselle Road. I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay, how did they shoot?
Alan, when you say I've been up to it now and it's bad, what are you referring to?
The scene, obviously.
I'm talking about what I saw was what y'all saw pictures of. And I mean, it was bad. It was terrible. And when I first got there, I know I got out of the car. And I mean, I know, I got out of the car. I mean, I knew. Got out of the car, but right at first, I didn't go, I don't think I went all the way to them. I think I ran back and that's when I called 911. And so I called 911, and while I was doing that, then is when I went to Maggie and I went to Paul. And so that's what I think I'm talking about.
Okay. Keep going, please.
Oh, no, hell no. Do it now, it's fast.
Okay, how do they shoot? Do they shoot themselves?
Oh, no, hell no.
Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
Are they in a vehicle?
You
No,
said,
ma'am, they're on the ground out at my kennel.
Okay, and did you see anyone?
He shot in the head, and he shot really bad. He shot it.
Okay, where is he shot at?
Ma'am, I don't know, but there's blood everywhere. I can see his brain. Face down. I tried to turn her a little bit, but she's got a hole in her head.
Okay, is he breathing at all?
No, nobody.
Is he? Okay, do you see anything? Do you see anyone in the area?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No.
Is there any guns near them at all?
No. Here.
What color is your house on the outside?
If that's what you're asking, they didn't shoot themselves, ma'am.
What?
you said
Now,
no,
right-
oh, hell no.
Right in there, you say the word here.
Interesting.
What, are you calling anybody or anything?
No, I'm talking to that dispatcher.
And what did you mean when you said here?
If you listen to that call, one of the first things she asked me, one of the first things she asked me was, did they shoot themselves? And I knew there's no way. I mean, I knew they didn't shoot themselves.
Yeah, he said, oh, no, hell no.
Didn't shoot themselves. And she'd asked me that. And then she asked me another question, something about that. And you hear me say here, and then you hear the thing talking. I'm telling her here, and then I say something, and then you hear me say, if that's what you're asking. And
You ain't
letting
wrong,
her
Storm
know
Dancer. You're right.
they didn't shoot themselves. I'm saying here, and then I give her an
This ain't right.
explanation, which you can't hear on that phone, but it's obvious to me what I'm doing. And I say, if that's what you're asking me. So like David Owens asked me on August 11th, did I call a dog or was I talking to somebody? There was no dog that was out and there was nobody there.
Well, let's talk about that briefly. Well, when you got there and you saw Maggie and Paul, where were the dogs?
The dogs were in the kennels. Dogs were in the kennels. They were wherever they were when law enforcement got there.
And you've seen pictures, and they called Dale Davis to the stand and talk about the hose rolled up. Did you roll the hose up?
No.
Did you do anything down there at the kennels when you got there other than call 911 and attend to Maggie and Paul?
No, I do know that I was trying to find a flashlight. I was trying to find a gun. Other than those things, no, I didn't do anything at the kennel. I didn't do anything with any hose. I didn't do anything with any dogs.
Was there anybody with you?
No.
All right, keep going, please.
can't see it from the road.
Okay, is it a house or a mobile home?
It's a house.
Okay, and what is your name?
My name is Alex Murdaugh.
Okay, did you hear anything or did you come home and find out?
I've been gone. I just came back.
Okay, and was anyone else supposed to be at your house?
No, ma'am. Please hurry.
We're getting somebody out there to you.
Oh, man. Oh, should have known.
Alec, we just heard you say, I should have known. What are you referring to?
I said, Paul, I should have known.
What were you referring to?
I was referring to Paul got so many threats. Didn't take serious. Think twice about. So I'm just telling him, Paul, I should have known. I won't specifically remember saying that, but I can clearly hear myself say that.
Okay. What kind of threats did you understand Paul was receiving?
I mean, Paul got the most vile threats. I mean, the stuff that was on social media. I mean, it was. I mean, you couldn't believe it. You couldn't believe it. It was so over the top. Truthfully, we didn't think anything about it. I mean, it was just so crazy that, we just, people talking about what he was going to get and how they were going to do this and get him. And I mean, it's stuff you really, we disregarded it because it's so over the top. Thought it's so over the top.
Keep going, please, Doug.
Okay, what is her name?
Maggie and Paul.
Maggie is her name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When's the last time you talked to Maggie?
Hour and a half ago, probably 2 hours ago.
What? Okay, you said about 2 hours ago you talked to them?
Approximately, yes, ma'am, approximately.
Well, you were asked the last time you saw them, and you said an hour and a half to 2 hours ago, and then she followed up 2 hours ago. You just heard that?
I did hear that. And I said approximately to her question.
When was the last time you saw them, Maggie and Paul?
Right after I took the chicken from Bubba.
And the video we've seen is timestamp 8:44 p.m. Is that correct?
That's right.
So was it shortly after 8:44?
It was.
And
It wasn't long after that because you can hear when Bubba gets the chicken, and it wasn't long after I took the chicken from him that I left.
And then you called 911. There are records of that, but do you remember roughly 9:07 or right before 9:07?
I mean, I've seen the records and seen the transcripts, yeah.
And then this is, and the records of this, but this is some minutes into the conversation with 911 operators, correct?
That's right. Like,
Knowing everything we know now, I mean, was it roughly an hour and a half the last time you saw him?
It was. That would, with the time of however long it took to get to this point, however many minutes that is 10:10 to 10, however many, you can look exactly and see what point this is and know what time it is, but it's between 10 and 10:15. And so I'd seen them around 8:45, a little bit after.
All right, please keep going.
Say what they were doing at all?
No, I talked to her in person.
You talked to her in person?
Then please hurry.
But we're getting somebody out there too. Me asking you these questions, don't slow them down, okay? And you sure they're not breathing? Is he moving at all, your son? I know you said that she was shot in the head, but what about your son?
Nobody. They're not. Neither one of them moving.
What is your telephone number?
942-1227. I'm going back to my house just to get a gun just in case. I'm about to.
Did you go back to the house and get a gun?
I did.
And is this the gun that you got? And how did you load this gun? What did you load it with, if anything?
That was gun, as best I can remember. I believe I got that gun off the pool table where you heard there was some other gun. I think that gun was laying with that pool table. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure it was on that pool table. Would have been the first place I came to. I know I was grabbing the first gun I could get. I grabbed a handful of shells out of the that I could get my hands on. I know the gun had a shell in it that I loaded, and I know I had a few shells. So,
Have you seen in this case where there was a 16 gauge shell put in that gun?
I've seen in the records and I've seen heard in the testimony that I put a 16 gauge shell in the gun.
Is that a 16 gauge shotgun?
It's not a 16 gauge shotgun. It's a
Why'd you
12
put a
gauge.
16 gauge shell in it?
I obviously didn't realize what I was doing.
Hmm.
I mean, I know you can't put a 16 gauge shell in a 12 gauge gun and not, I mean, I've been hunting my whole life. I know you can't do that. That's not a mistake I would have made. That's not a mistake I'd have made under any circumstances other than that night.
Why did you go back to the house to get a gun?
No kidding.
I just didn't know. I didn't know. I mean, well, saw it. I mean, it's just
Autopilot gut reaction.
I didn't know if somebody was still out there. I don't know. I guess I didn't know.
Please keep going.
And does anything look out of place?
Ma'am, not particularly, really, no, ma'am.
Okay.
Go back to where he said he's going to my house to get a gun, just a few seconds back, 10 seconds maybe.
I know you're upset, Mr. Murdaugh, but I don't want you to get a gun and have a gun out whenever my officers get there, okay?
Back up some more. Back up some more, please.
My house, just to get a gun just in case.
What is your telephone number?
942-1227. I'm going back to my house just to get a gun just in case. I'm about 100 yards to my house.
Alec, you said you're about 100 yards from the house?
That's what I said.
Is it much further than that?
I mean, as you've heard in the testimony, it's 1,100 and something feet, but
Okay.
I said I was 100 yards.
You were wrong about your estimate?
I'm sure I was wrong.
Okay. Keep going.
And does anything look out of place?
Ma'am, not particularly, really, no, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I know you're upset, Mr. Murdaugh, but I don't want you to get a gun and have a gun out whenever my officers get there, okay?
I will not do that. He's been being threatened by, my son had a boat wreck. He's been being threatened for months and months and months. He's been hit several times and he should finally quit.
Do you know who was threatening your son?
It's too many people. Over the phone. One second.
And you don't know the name of who was threatening him at all?
My son knows. And my son knows.
Your son knows who was threatening him?
Wow.
I have another son now.
Okay.
What? Already manipulating the situation.
All right, I'm going back down there.
Possibly. Let's just say that.
All right. Roll to the next tape of the same film.
The level of manipulation, the level of possible manipulation is wild to me.
Are they close, ma'am?
Yeah, they've been around with you ever since you got on the phone with me. I have multiple people coming out there to you.
This is a whole bloody phone.
Okay, can you do me a favor, Mr. Murdaugh, and turn on the flashers on your car so that way they can see where the kennels are? Do you have your flashes on for me, Mr. Murdaugh?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want you to touch them at all, okay? I don't know if you've already touched them, but I don't want you to touch them just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
I already touched them trying to get to see if they were breathing.
Not, Allie, that second clip starts at 22:13, 10:13, 58, and you're asked, you're told don't touch them. Had you touched them by then?
Yes,
And that way you told the 911 operator.
that is.
And, can you say exactly during that 6-7 minutes when you actually touched them?
I know I touched Maggie. I touched Maggie several times, but I mean, I think I didn't. I don't think I touched Pawpaw, but 2 times.
Did you touch one or both of them before you got in the car and drove back to the house?
Yes. Yeah.
One or both? Do you know?
Both.
All right, keep going, please.
Okay. Well, I just don't want you to move anything just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
Oh.
Okay. And did your son, I know you said that he had been threatened, did your son make reports of this at all?
Yes, ma'am.
He did.
Al, you informed the 911 operator that Paul had made reports of these threats. What are you referring to?
I mean, I just know that it had been reported. I don't know that. I mean, I don't believe there was any like formal police reports or that type of thing. But I mean, it had been reported, and I mean, it was well known.
Okay. So, were you saying he had filed some official report when you said yes?
No, I've never thought there was a police report or some formal report like that. No.
Do you know whether or not he made some type of report on campus?
Oh, I know he did.
What do you know?
I mean, I know that there was a time when he was asked to come meet with, God, I can't even remember the gentleman's name now, but I appreciated it so much that I never thought I'd forget it. But
Is it part of student counseling service?
yeah, he was the dean of students. But anyway, he reached out to Pawpaw and wanted to talk to him. And I mean, at first we were concerned, you know, why they want to talk to him? And I mean, even I believe I had Paul come talk to you about that because we were concerned. Well, what are they going to talk to him about? But when Paul and Jim got there, it turns out that it was really just I mean, they were wanting to make sure he was okay. But, you know, just make sure he was okay. And I know that, you know, they were aware of the threats or some level of threats. And so, yeah, I mean, it had already been reported to them.
Keep going, Doug.
And what's your son's name?
Paul.
Paul?
Ma'am, I'm gonna call, I need to call some of my family.
Okay. Well, do me a favor for me. Whenever you see the officer or the medics, because they're all coming to you, can you put your gun in your vehicle for me?
Absolutely.
Okay. But we have them come in, turn on the flashes on your vehicle so they can see you, okay? You got the flashes on for me?
I do.
Okay. All right. Just, whenever you see them, put your gun up for me, okay?
Okay.
How old is your son?
22.
Okay. All right. We're getting them out there to you, okay?
And I will answer you call.
All right.
So, Alec, did you call family after you got off the call with the operator?
Yes.
Who'd you call?
I know I called my brother Randy. I know I called my brother John. And I know I tried to call Roro. Well, Roro's not family, but I called Randy and John. And Yeah, I
And
called
then-
Randy and John.
And then you just mentioned Roto.
Rogan. We call him Ro. I called him Roro.
Why did you try to call Rogan?
I mean, Rogan's house was like, I don't know, as the crow flies, maybe 2.5 miles, 3 miles. I mean, Rogan was like family.
Did you think he was the closest person?
Yeah, I just wanted somebody. I wanted somebody to be out there.
Had you seen Rogan's name on Paul's phone in any way that night?
No.
You called, did Rogan answer?
No.
Did you try multiple times?
Looking at these records, I believe that I did, but I believe some of those are like the FaceTime calls that are to Rogan. I mean, I'm trying to call him, but I don't believe that was me actually. I didn't FaceTime. I mean, I didn't FaceTime people. So I think that's either me trying to call him and hitting FaceTime, or that's me hitting buttons or hitting the phone.
In the State's Exhibit 519, which is the condensed timeline done by Agent Rudovsky, there's an indication, Alec, that at 10:22:09, you opened a group text message from Michael Gunn stating, "She brought the heat for Miami boys." Were you reading text messages from Michael Gunn right after you got off with the 911 operator?
I heard them ask that question. I can promise you I wasn't reading any text messages.
There's also an entry, Alec, that says at 10:40 p.m. that you did a Google search or a Safari browser search for Whaley's at Edisto while your wife and son are laying dead on the ground. Did you do that?
No. Whaley's is a restaurant at Edisto that we ate at a lot of times. We got takeout from a lot of times. So I'm assuming it was in my search history, pulling up the restaurant, and I obviously was trying to call people or dialing, and I hit that. I wasn't doing any Google searches.
And is one of the persons that you dialed that night a wedding photographer?
It's a guy named Brian White. I saw that on the call log. Brian White's a guy who was in my, what do you call it? Contacts, that is a videographer that I've used in cases. I haven't used him in 2 years. And he's a good guy, but we're not personal friends. So I certainly wasn't calling him.
So were you, what does that indicate to you, that those actions on your phone? How do you account for that?
Obviously they're unintentional. I mean, I'm doing something with my phone trying to call people, but I'm not trying to call those people. I'm not doing a Google search for any Whaley's restaurant, and I'm certainly not reading any text.
No kidding, Kooky Cat.
I want to ask you,
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to go to the jury room for a break of about 10 minutes. Please do not discuss the case. You'll stay put, Mr. Murdaugh.
10-minute break. Hamburger. Well. Craziness, guys. So.
We'll take a 10-minute recess. Step down. We do not discuss your testimony.
Boy, oh boy. So. What are your thoughts on it so far? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to be wrapping up here for this particular situation. I have prior engagements I have to go to that I can't get out of, but. And, of course, not knowing about this until last night about this, I couldn't change things around. But I did want you guys to see, or at least I wanted to witness some of this testimony with you guys, and just hear his demeanor and see how he was. Thing is that when I get back, if because I have a feeling they're going to finish out with prosecution, and then there will be, or sorry, they will be finishing up with his side, the defense, and then prosecution will most likely cross-examine afterwards. I don't know if that's going to happen today, or if defense is going to take the majority of the day today, and then tomorrow will be defense, will be the time for the prosecution to take over. We don't know, right? They might go through this whole thing today, both sides. We will see here for sure. But what say you guys? What are your thoughts on this? What do how are you feeling? I got a few minutes before I have to jump off here, unfortunately. But I promise you guys, if I'm back at a reasonable time and there's still more going on with this, of course, if it's prosecution's turn, I will definitely watch that with you guys. But again, what say you guys? Jeannie, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. I really do appreciate it. Okay. And Kookie Cat, thank you again for the £2. Talks a lot of filler that's meant to confuse jury. Yeah, there was a lot of word. I think some of you guys said the same thing. I was thinking in my head. There was a lot of word salad going on, a lot of details, a lot of BS, but not really getting to the actual, getting to the foundation of everything, right? They were talking in circles and going around things without actually having anything solid. They would put in information within all of this word salad. It was really, really, I could see it being very difficult for the jury to catch on to it, right? To make it make sense for them and follow this timeline. But the timeline still, to me, is not making any sense, all right? It still does not add up. So you're telling me he went down to the kennel, he took the chicken out of Bubba's mouth. The chicken was still alive. He put it on the table, then went back up to the house, then left, then came back, and that's when he found both of them gone. And then on top of it, all the other information where the phone fell out of Paul's pocket and all that. It's kind of like, well, you're putting all this information in here, like that is just very interesting, heavily detailed information. But then suddenly, when it comes to other details, that seems to kind of disappear in your head. You're talking about very detailed information around something that happened so traumatic, that was so traumatic, that is so traumatic. But then when it comes to other pieces, you don't remember. I don't know. Or it's like a generalization of what he did or what he didn't do. The whole timeline to me is messed up. Then on top of it, he started off with of course, let's not forget the very beginning of this whole thing. His lawyer went up to him and said, "Did you pull the trigger on your son and blow his brains out?" That's literally what he said. And he's like, "No, I didn't." Same thing he asked about the other weapon used on his wife, Maggie. Then on top of that, they started off the whole thing on, "Yeah, I lied. Oopsies. Here's the reason why I lied, because of addiction." Really? It's really hard. And don't get me wrong, I get it. Addiction is a crazy thing. It is a monster, right? People will do some things when they are addicted to things, right? Whether so that they can get something, or they can get away with something, or get out of something. But why would he lie about being at the scene at the very beginning of it all? Because now that lie has been sitting around for a very long time, okay? It's been sitting around for a very long time. And then all of a sudden, today, he goes and takes the stand and he finally says, yeah, I did lie about that. I really wasn't there, or I really was there. I was at the scene. The only reason why they're saying that is because the evidence that they have. Because the little Snapchat video of Paul in the kennel with the dogs. You can hear his voice in the background, all those things. To me, it just sounds like he's trying to cover it up, trying to have an excuse so that he doesn't, right? So that he doesn't get in more trouble or that he doesn't look more guilty. But the thing is that you got somebody who has been lying, has been holding on to this lie, even if it is that small. It sucks about these little lies, right? When you do these little lies, and this is a big little lie, okay? But it really is bad when you do these big little lies and they sit there and they fester for years, right? Because remember, this happened in 2021. It's 2023 now. This is a trial. 2 years later, we're finally in a trial, right? This is a lie that's been festering for so long, and then finally the truth comes out. Finally now. You don't think that the jury's going to sit there and go, I don't know. That's one piece of information that could have been remedied years ago if he decided not to lie at that moment, or even if he lied at that moment and then told the truth 2 or 3 days later or 2 months later, it would have been fine. Still would have been sus. But you're not talking about it until now. Only because of the evidence that the prosecution has up against you that's making you look even more guilty. You didn't have to lie at that time. But instead of you saying, okay, yeah, I done messed up and because of this, that, and the third, you psychoanalyze yourself because you're an expert with that. And you say, oh, it's all because of the pills. It's all because of the oxy. It's all because of the addiction. That's why I did this. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay any person that battles with addiction. Yes, people do some really terrible, terrible things, like I said before, to get out of something or to get into something or to get something, right? But it doesn't make sense that you have two of your loved ones, one that is proclaimed to be the love of your life, and also the person that brought these children that you love so dearly into the world. And instead of just saying, yes, I was there and all that, and just being completely transparent about it, you lie about that. To me, addiction is not an excuse when it comes to this. But then again, neither am I a therapist, a psychiatrist, or a psychologist. I just am talking from what I feel coming from, from the gut. And this just doesn't, how it's laying out isn't laying out right to me. Something ain't right. And 2 people lost their lives in this horrific situation. There's definitely a different reason on why he lied. And I don't think it has to do with pills. But of course, this all has to do with what the jury is going to decide for themselves. Okay? Again, his reasoning is whack as hell, in my personal opinion. No matter what, everything that's being said right now, all the things that have been laid out in front of us are not real or are not sounding accurate at all. There's a lot of red flags. The timeline doesn't make any sense at all. But then again, I'm interested to see where the defense is going with this, with the questioning and his testimony. I'm wondering where, obviously, is an opportunity for him to tell his side of things, but how accurate, how real is it? And do we believe someone who is already known to be a scammer and a manipulator? You can basically say that this is somebody who has been a master manipulator on all fronts. You got to remember, not only just M charges that he's looking at, there are plenty other things that he's looking at, from swindling, from stealing, etc., fraudulent charges, etc. This is somebody who has conned his way through, I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and say all of his life, but conned his way through the last few years of his life. And he's getting caught for those things. Those things should be put in consideration, because that still makes the make of the person that is standing trial for M. Those are still pieces that break down who he is as a human being and how he conducts himself. Again, let me see this real quick. I want to see this poll right quick. Let me end this poll right now. It was 583 votes. And I said, the question was at the top, that was at the poll, is this a good move for Alex at this time of the trial? 76% of you guys said, no, this is a dumb move. Now, obviously, when I come back later on, I'm sure we will have a conversation, a more in-depth conversation about what the rest of the defense questioning is, and of course, how the prosecution handles themselves as well, because I will be watching when I get a chance to watch, just to see how things are going and how things are moving. But this is a big moment, all right? This is a huge trial. This is a huge case. A lot of people are looking for justice for this, for these two, but also justice because the family has gotten away with other things before. Even Paul, okay? He had a boating accident. He was very, very inebriated. Someone lost their life on that boat. That family still feels like they did not get justice, right? Even the boyfriend of the young girl that lost her life there feels like they didn't get justice either, okay? This is a wild, wild story. A lot of people who have lost their lives surrounding this family. It is insane. So I know a lot of people are waiting for some sort of justice to actually start popping off for someone getting some sort of punishment, okay? Him taking the stand, ballsy. I will say that.
All
Very
right,
ballsy.
come to order.
So they're about to go back in here. Cookie Cat, thank you so much for the £5. He had more emotion talking about Bubba and the chicken than he about his family. He had no tears. He also shakes and nods his head, then says opposite. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough to look at and totally break down how he was conducting himself throughout the entire thing. It is very tough. Okay. Now, Hogwire just said this: an innocent man would beg to take the stand. An innocent man would take that, and a very egotistical master manipulator who may be not innocent, okay, guilty man would also want to take the stand as well, because they would think that this is my opportunity to speak. This is my opportunity to exonerate myself. And it's an opportunity to sway the jury. Let's be real. Let's look at AH for a second, just for a hot minute. Let's look at AH for a second, okay? she guilty. Okay. She did that. All right. She most definitely did that. Okay. So, and she took the stand, and she was more than happy to take the stand. So also, I will point this out, how Murdaugh is looking straight into the jury. You know, he barely looks over to the rest of the courtroom. The only time that he did was when they were doing the 911 calls, but I feel like he was making eye contact with Buster. That's what I think. Because that 911 call is pretty intense. All right. So, of course, I'll be back on a little bit later. All right. I'll be back on a little bit later, but I wanted to show you guys this and share this with you guys. I got to hop off and go into this. Got to go and do this thing. I got things to do. Okay. Yes. Kooky Cat. Exactly. Pascal. Definitely AH vibes. Yes. Vibs. Yes. You know, it gives me AH vibes for sure. Okay. Nothing but vibrations like that, but we'll see. Okay. So I'll be back a little bit later. So keep an eye. Of course, there's other shows that are streaming this, so please hop over there. I'm sorry, guys. I told you guys I was going to try to play as much as I could before things go off. It has begun. So if you guys can do me a favor, hit that like button down below. That would be greatly appreciated. All right. Hit that like button down below. You know your boy's working hard. Okay. So that would really, really mean a lot. All right. And then, of course, do not forget to crush that subscribe button if you haven't done so. That'd really, really mean a lot too, okay? But anyway, I got to get going. I'll be talking to you guys soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And hit those notification bells so you know when I go back on live, because we will be talking about this later on today. All right? This is The Pascal Show. Bye.